Welcome to Pit Cafe. We are here at the 2024 CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa Prologue, building up to the Centenary edition of the biggest GT race in the world. My name is Jim Weeks, I am your host, and today we have news, interviews, features, everything you need to know from day one of the Prologue. And I think it's probably best to start with the news of the day. The entry list for the Centenary CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa was unveiled today in this very room. And I'm joined to discuss it by Thomas Bastin, French commentator, a man with a great passion for the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. Thomas, we've seen the entry list, 67 cars, 24 pro cars among them. What do you think?
Yeah, good evening, Jim. Good evening to all of you. So happy to be here. Yes, indeed, it will be once again a very, very exciting edition, the Centenary edition of the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. Indeed, 24 cars in the Pro class, 22 in the Bronze Cup as well, where we have a mix with professional driver, amateur driver, and semi-professional driver, silver rated by the FIA. So yes, indeed, one of the most beautiful entry lists for years, but no, it's not really true because the entry list has been really exciting for about 10 years right now, but we are still on the good flow, I can say.
You mentioned the pro category with 24 cars, some incredible lineups among them. Is there anyone that you're particularly excited to see, perhaps among the one-off entries that we've got for the Centenary?
Yeah, first of all, I think it's important to remind that we will have the 9 manufacturers competing in the pro class, which has not always been the case. So that's really a good thing. And indeed, we have a good mix with some team and lineup coming from the Endurance Cup in the Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe and other one-off entries, as you said. Which one is the most exciting? It's difficult to say. I would say the Porsche Motor Racing for sure is one of the most exciting. We have Kevin Estre, Laurens Vanthoor, and Patrick Pilet, which is really an exciting crew. But that does not mean for sure that they are the favorites. It's really difficult. In the 24 Pro car, I can say, okay, there are 5 maybe which are more outsider, but we have 15 cars able to win for sure.
Yeah, as you say, I really don't think there is a favorite. I mean, we have the 98 BMW from RAFA Racing, which won last year, back with the same lineup that won last year.
Yeah, do you know that it happened only once in the 100th year of the Spa 24 Hours that the same crew managed to keep his win? It was the Martin brother at the time, so Maxime Martin father, Jean-Michel, and his uncle Philippe. It only happens once. So it will be a wonderful and a great achievement if the RAFA Racing trio could keep indeed his win, but it will be very, very difficult, I think.
Yeah, BMW, of course, with 25 overall wins, the record in this race, going for the 26th. Any other lineups that you're particularly excited to see? I mean, we've got some great Mercedes lineups. For example, Get Speed with Jules Gounon, Fabian Schiller, and Lucas Stoltz.
Yeah, that's exciting as well. We have 16 former winners. Maybe it's important to remind, Jules Gounon is among of them. Twice winner with Audi in 2017 and then with Mercedes AMG in 2022. I'm really excited to say not only about the lineup, but about the car as well, because we will have 2 new cars debuting here in Spain. We have some footage of what has been done today during the prologue, Jim, as we can see, and some new car. Sorry, like the 23, which is a one-off entry. One-off entry as well for the Iron Dames with the Lamborghini.
The Iron Dames, as you say, they're back looking to repeat the victory they took in what was then the Gold Cup. Was that in 2022, I think? So that is an exciting lineup. Always good to see the Iron Dames back on track. You mentioned the new cars.
We saw the Ford Mustang.
Yes, we did see the Ford Mustang. There's one of those on the grid this year, being run by Proton Competition. That's a really exciting car. I think everybody's really excited to see the Ford back at the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa.
Yeah, for sure. To see and to hear, because the noise of the car is just amazing. It's not noise, it's music, to be honest. I love the noise, and I'm pretty sure the fans will love this sound as well. Ford is back. I think it's important to remember that Ford used to be in the 70s one of the biggest manufacturer, or at least one of the one winning a lot. They won with the Caprice at the time. They won again in 1989 with the Ford Sierra RS 500. Ben Schneider was one of the drivers at the time. He's one of the drivers who won in the touring car era and then in the GT era. So yes, great to see Ford coming back. I think the last time was 12 years ago, something like that.
So, 2012.
2012, which is crazy, and at the time it was not with the car able to win. I mean, it was a smaller team and things like that. So, yeah, they have only one attempt, one chance, which is always a bit dangerous. I would be surprised, to be honest, to see the Ford winning. But anyway, they are there, and they could make the big surprise of this edition.
Yeah, I spoke to Christopher Mies today. He felt that the endurance that they showed in the first Endurance Cup race at Circuit Paul Ricard, where they were able to finish in the top 10, he was very encouraged by that. He's not talking about winning the race, but certainly I think he's ambitious about being there on the lead lap at the end, which really is what you need to do. The other new car we have this year is the Aston Martin Vantage. 4 of those from Come To You Racing. That's the most cars from any one team on the grid. A very impressive entry from that Belgium team.
Yeah, Belgian team, second participation, so second time only they will be at the start of the 24 hours. They used to be with Audi last year. They come with Aston Martin Vantage. A brand new car, not a brand new car, but a huge evolution of the car used until last year. We must remember that this car came on the podium 2 years ago, I think, with
in
59.
2021, I think it was.
3 years ago
59,
already.
yeah.
Time flies by.
Yes,
yes indeed. So again, it will be a challenge when you come here with a new car. It's not always easy. We have seen it in the past with plenty of new manufacturers. Ferrari last year came with the new 296 and so on. So yes, indeed, we have some new Aston there. With the Come To You Racing, we will have a former winning team as well entering some Aston gym.
Yes, of course, that's Volkenhorst Motorsport. They've got 3 cars on the grid this year. 1 pro car that's driven by Ross Gunn, Enrique Chavez and David Pittard. That should be a strong lineup as well. I think that's going to go well.
Yeah, maybe well known than the pro lineup of Come To You with the Dane Train, Nikiti, Marco Sorensen and Mattia Drudi. But for sure, that's a very, very strong lineup. Maybe a little less famous, but you don't need to be famous to win the Spa 24. You will be famous if you win it.
Absolutely. Now, Thomas mentioned there that we have 16 former winners on the entry list. We spent some time in the pits today talking to a few of those former winners about what it takes to win the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa.
It takes a lot. It takes really a lot. It takes a lot of luck, first of all, because it's a 24 race, so you need the reliability, you need the team to execute perfectly, you need the luck on your side, you need the lineup, you need the car, and you need, at the end, the raw speed to try to win the race. Because as you see, last year, I think we were still 8 or 9 cars in the lead lap. We were P2, 10 seconds off the P1. The year I won in 17, we had 8 seconds to P2. So it's just a crazy race. You need everything to win this race. And sometimes you think you have it all, and you still finish P5 or P6. So it's just the hardest, really, it's the hardest 24 race in the world.
Well, yeah, thinking back to 2016, it was an amazing race for us. Really, as perfect a 24-hour race as I could ever wish for. We didn't have any issues with the car. Pit stops were perfect. Drivers didn't make any mistakes with track limits and things, and that's really what got us the win. Because I remember we were racing the Bentley, and they made multiple mistakes in terms of track limits and had a few drive-throughs, which kept setting them back, even though their raw pace was better than ours. So yeah, it still stands out to me as pretty much the highlight of my career in terms of executing a 24-hour race perfectly.
Well, it takes a very clean race. You need to stay out of trouble. With 70 GT3 cars on track is not easy. Not easy to have no contact, no track limit, no off track. So just stay out of trouble for the first 18 hours, which is, I think, the plan from all the paddock. But it's very hard and it gets hot very quickly. And then have a fast car. You can't win here without having a fast car. So you need to stay out of trouble, have fast car, and make the right call on the strategy on weather, which is most of the time here critical.
It's a huge challenge. We have to finish first to have to finish on the podium or being in top 3. I think you have to stay cool during the race, even if you lose a bit of positions or some track positions. But in the end, driving without mistakes, that's the key. Everything can happen. If you are in the fight in the last 4 or 5 hours of the race, even after, we saw it in the last years, you have to be up there in the last 2 hours or actually in the last pit stop, and then everything is possible. I think the car is really strong over the distance. Variability is not an issue for us. I think the key is staying without mistakes and having a good ground pace. I think that's also very important.
It takes a lot of things. I think we need to be competitive. That's the first thing. You need to to be consistent, you need to do 0 mistakes, but also you need a part of luck, like always in the 24-hour race. And but yeah, if we can already be fast, be consistent, and not do any mistakes, at the end we will be somewhere close.
So we heard from 5 former winners there, and I think there were 3 key points that all of them picked up on. To win this race, you have to be fast, you have to make no mistakes, and you also need a little bit of luck.
Yes, indeed. Sometimes some drivers say you don't choose to win the race. The race will choose you. The race will choose its winner. And indeed, you need a bit of luck, for sure. But to be lucky, you need to be there as well. And that's part of the thing. And we have seen it's not only luck, it's just managing to put all the things together, which is so difficult. And which is why I think these races, especially this CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa, are so appreciated by the driver, because they know that to win here, it won't be the case this year because Le Mans will have plenty of cars able to win. But in the past, I remember André Lotterer telling me he was he's a triple winner in Le Mans, and he came here and he said, I have the feeling I will never be able to win Spa. It's so much more difficult to win Spa. When we are in Le Mans, we are 6, 7, 8 cars able to win. When we come to Spa, we are 20 cars able to win. You need to be in the good thing. And the other thing is that if we compare with Le Mans, for example, or with the Nürburgring, we must remember that in Spa we have GT3 cars only, which is totally different. And in the pace and in the way to take the race as well, and to pack the race. And when you have to take a lap, and you must, of course, manage the lapped car as well, which is really, really difficult, I think.
Yeah, it's the hard work off the circuit that rewards you on the circuit. Speaking about off the circuit, we've got a lot of activities planned for the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa this year. It's far more than just a motor race. It's basically a festival in its own right. Thomas, you've been quite involved in certainly the publicizing of those events. Could you tell us a little bit about what's coming up for the Centenary?
There is so much. Do you have time?
I think we do.
But indeed, I think, first of all, we have to remind that it will be 10 days of racing, or activities at least, here on the track, as we will have the Speed Week the week before, the weekend before, including the British GT.
British GT, French GT, and what else do they have?
Formula 4, the French Formula 4, the touring car for French, French touring car as well, the Porsche Carrera Cup France. So yes, indeed, it will be
quite a lineup.
A busy weekend, 16 races, which is already good. I must say that it's totally free for the fans. So if you want to come maybe 1 week earlier and say, I will do some tourist attraction, maybe you can come and see some races here in Spa the weekend before. And then from the Wednesday, we have something that I love, totally love, is the parade.
Yeah, the parade's incredible.
The parade is just amazing. We are there. There are thousands of spectators in the city center. We can see the footage here. Yeah. We have to recall, Jim, that the car will take the older track, the 15, not the 15, but the 14-kilometer track.
Yes, using some of the old Spa-Francorchamps layout, and that's going to add... Well, it's going to touch on the history of the race. We celebrate the Centenary, the first running in 1924, and in doing so, it's really good to have a nod to the history of this race. Another really big part of the off-track activities, of course, is music. So we've got the Saturday night concert. You can see the poster for it here, headlined by Robin Schulz and Henri Péaffer.
Yes, indeed. So Robin Schulz is a German DJ, one of the most famous German DJ. I'm not a big fan of electronic music, so maybe you are. I don't know all of them very well. Henri Péaffer is one of the best Belgian DJ as well. Then we have a few of Belgian and French DJ. It's important to remind as well that we will have in the paddock a new
that's new for this
stage,
year, isn't it?
Which is new for this stage, with some Mr. Cover and Six No More, two groups bringing the fun in the past of the music in the 80s, 90s, and so on. So that's really something important. We'll have a new fan village. We will have, what do you call that? The big...
a Ferris wheel?
What do you say?
The Ferris wheel.
The Ferris wheel?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know the word in English, thank you. But it's part of the thing indeed. We'll have some, that's important as well, some look back in the past with some car shown. We'll have the La Galerie du Temps in French, so which is a kind of a museum, if we can say, a provisional museum.
Yes, that's very exciting. That's drawing on fan memories, isn't it? That's encouraging fans of the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa over the years to bring their mementos and display them in a gallery that's going to be here on site during the weekend.
Yes, indeed. But the fans are at the center of such an event. I think that's really important to remind. Oh, it's important to have the fun and to nurse the fun, if I can say. We'll have 15 giant screens. We'll have plenty of food trucks and things like that, just to make the atmosphere enjoyable for all of them. You will have plenty of race, because there is not only the 24 Hours of Spa, but obviously the Fanatec GT2 European, the GT4 European, and the older car, the classic car. We'll have touring car and GT car from the past, just to see how it used to be, which is really good as well. So I can tell you the fan coming to Spa really, really enjoy it when they come. And we can see that we have more and more an international audience. So maybe we'll have more international fans as well this year.
That would be great. Thank you, Thomas. I think now we're ready to welcome our next set of guests, our first driver guests for tonight. We have from Barwell Motorsport, Sandy Mitchell and Ricky Collard. Sandy and Ricky were Pro-Am winners together in 2020. Hello, boys. How was your day?
Yeah, the weather's been pretty mixed, but yeah, it's going well. So the car's feeling good in the wet, and we've got some dry laps in as well. So yeah, all good.
Ricky, you've not done as much GT3 racing in the past few years. It must be mega to be out there in the Lamborghini at Spa-Francorchamps, even if it is raining.
Absolutely. It's first of all, thank you for having us, and it's a great privilege to be here with the guys. And yeah, adapting from sort of British touring cars, or readapting back from British touring cars to the GT3 has been a bit of a mission, but it's been going really well, and it's something I've really enjoyed. And the pace in the wet seems really strong, and we're just ticking items off our test list, and I have a good feeling about it. So.
Always useful to have good wet pace at Spa, isn't it?
Well, must admit, as an English driver, I'm used to racing in the wet, so it's fine.
Yeah. You guys, of course, were Pro-Am winners together in 2020. Sandy, what do you remember about that victory?
Yeah, it was a really cool one, sharing the car with Leo and Rob and Ricky as well. So yeah, it was a great race. I think we were fighting with the Ferraris, the Sky Tempesta team, and these guys all throughout the race. I remember it being super close, like always battling in the top three. And I think there was a safety car near the end of the race, which kind of bunched the top guys up, which always makes it interesting. So yeah, great memories. It was the second year in a row for me to win a class, so really special, and for my career as well. So yeah, Spa's a special place for me, and it'd be cool to add another class win to that collection.
Now, as Sandy mentioned, that victory in 2020 was with your father, Rob Collard. What is it like sharing a car with your dad?
Yeah, well, for those that don't know, we're currently racing together in British.
Of course, yeah. Yeah,
so race together in British GT, and it's always been a dream for us to share a car. And when we had the opportunity with Barwell and Leo, we were super excited, and debuted our pairing and won the Spa 24 Hours. So that was in Pro-Am, which was great. And then we went into British GT, and we're currently second in the championship. We've already had a win. The car feels good, and I'm just really enjoying it at the moment.
Yeah. Sandy, you're the full season pro driver in this car. Ricky's here only for Spa. So you're really leading the line. Do you take that role seriously as the professional in what is it's a semi-professional or a mixed professional outfit?
Yeah, it's always interesting. Obviously, Ricky's got a lot of experience as well, and it's been great to have Antoine in the team as well this year, who's a young French driver and performing really well, and Till, who's new to the Lamborghini and Barwell as well. So yeah, a lot of learning from everyone, and it's been great for everyone to get laps under their belt today. And yeah, competing this year in sprint and endurance, which is a first for me. So yeah, it's going well. Misano was really good, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the sprint races. But yeah, we'll get the big one out the way first, and I think everyone's just focused on that just now. And looking forward to the double header that we have here with British GT and the 24 hours back to back.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll ask you about that, Ricky. It's 10 days you'll be out here for. What's that like, pulling that double stint doing British GT and then staying out here for the 24?
Yeah, I'm going to be learning a lot in Belgium. Trying to stay away from the Belgian chocolates, but yeah.
And the beer.
And the beer. Maybe, hopefully, we can have some on Sunday night. But yeah, I do a lot of coaching as well. So I'm actually here for the British referee as well. So I'm literally spending the next month in pretty much based out here. So I could definitely think of worse places to be based.
Yeah, not too bad. Sandy, I'll ask you this because you're a real Barwell veteran. They've won 3 times in classes in the past, I think 6 years. What is it that makes Barwell so good at this race?
Oh, it's one of those races you really need to stay out of trouble, and the team need to be on it throughout the whole race, all the pit stops, everything like that. I think a combination of having good driver lineups, but also just knowing when to attack in the race and when to just take what comes. There's the pit lane's so long here, and staying out of the pits for as much as possible is a big key to this race. With having the sprint and endurance pit lane. So if you have to survive for 5 laps on the wrong tyres just to make it to the pit window, then that's what you've got to do. And sometimes you've got to play it risky like that, but as well as play it safe at other times. So yeah, we've done a fantastic job, and really privileged to be involved in some of those wins and podiums as well. Lots of them the team have had throughout the years. So it's a great combination, and hopefully we can add another one to that this year.
Ricky, anything to add? What are Barwell doing? I mean, don't give away any secrets, but what are they doing to win so much?
Well, I know my boss Mark Lemmer's watching, so I've got to be a little bit careful. But no, it's just consistency. We've got a really, really good data team, and myself and Sandy working a lot today with Till. Till's hit the ground; it's his first time here, and he was really impressive. And we've been working throughout the day together with him and his data, and it's like what I do with my dad. It works really well. Obviously, we live on a farm, so I spend a lot of time over at the farm. We've got a simulator, and it's coaching each other. Sandy's helping me, I'm helping Sandy. We're all helping the team, and I think what people don't understand so much with car racing is how much of a team sport it actually is. And when you come to these 24-hour races, you really have got a hook in as a team.
We'll close by asking you a question I asked several drivers in the pits today. Do you have a favourite time to be in the car during the 24 hours of Spa?
I would say in a 24-hour race in general, bringing the car into the daylight is always a nice feeling, because although the race here tends to start quite late in the day, so you've actually still got a lot of the race left, you can kind of start to think about maybe making it to the end, which is the first task in itself. So that's always a nice time. But I would say in the past, I've always loved being right in the middle of the night when it's pitch black. Conditions could be anything, fog, rain, whatever. So I quite enjoy that time of the stint. It's dark. It's a bit quieter on the radio, maybe as some guys are getting a bit of sleep or getting a bit tired, and you can really just zone in and put in a good couple of hours shift and make a real difference in bringing the car through the night.
Yeah. Ricky, anything from your side?
It's an interesting question, because if you ask me what's your favourite part of the race, it's got to be the starts, because you're starting with nearly 70 cars on the grid. As a spectator, to stand there and watch 70 cars all fly up the hill there into Eau Rouge, it's incredible. So the starts is great. Obviously, when the relief of finishing the race is epic. But I'm the same as Sandy. Really, it's nice to just truck on, as they say, in the night time, and get your head down and pound them laps.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, Sandy. And now we can hear from some of the guys we spoke to today about their favourite time to be in the car during the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa.
2 times. There's 2 periods. The night qualifying, Q4 is unbelievable. It's like you feel alive in that point. I've done that a few times, and also just between 3 and 6 a.m. it's quiet. Sometimes you find yourself weirdly alone on the track. Everyone's sleeping, so it's just you in the car, and it's really, really easy. A lot of drivers will say the same. It's really easy to get into a zone during that period.
The start is always nice. Always nice to get around the field. I've always done in bronze, so we never started in the front, bronze class. But I think the start is quite interesting. But also the night, it's quite quick as well in terms of lap time. So it's a nice time to be on the car as well.
I enjoy every single lap in the race. So I did in the past the start. I was driving a lot in the night, of course. I did the final stint, fighting for overall win in the 2 years ago in 2022, where we finished P2. So it's every stage of this race is incredible. It's really good. I enjoy it really. I did many of 24-hour races in the past, but this is for sure one of the best ones.
What I really like is typically either my first stint in the night, because everything just feels so fast, much faster than in the daylight. And but probably the best time to be in the car is when you go actually from the transition from the dark to the morning, where you get the lights, and it's a very special moment to be in the car. And I really enjoy to drive at that time of the race.
We're joined now by a man who's done plenty of 24 hours of Spa. So I suppose we should ask you, Kurt Mollikens, what was your favourite time to be in the car when you were driving?
Start. It's true, everything I've heard is correct. The one where you go into the night is a nice one. The one where you come out of it is always the quickest time of the race, unless it rains, of course. And the adrenaline of the start is also a nice feeling to have. So I've gone through all those. The last daylight one and the first one, we call them happy hour. That's when every driver wants to be in the car. Yeah. So you either draw a lottery or you decide, but for them. But it's for sure those three. I would say those 3 times are the most exciting ones. And of course, if you're on a win, then the final one, taking the flag, is always a great honor.
I should introduce you properly. This is Kurt Mollikens. You are the program manager for GT racing at Team WRT. So how was your day today?
Yeah, it was good. It was not the most learningful day that we'll have this year. There was, when it goes from wet to dry, you always got these times where you don't learn much in between, but we've got some data for the wet where we need to improve a bit. We got some dry data, which was rather promising. So it was an okay day, but the bits in between wet and dry were a bit of a lost time.
What does your role with Team WRT involve?
Well, it's I'm responsible for the GT program, so it's very wide. We do several championships. We have quite a few cars running, but I would say as GT program manager, it's taking the responsibility, the end responsibility of the results. So it always comes down to that person. And during the race weekends, I often operate as a sporting director, making sure we're all following up on the rules and we don't make any mistakes that cost us drive-throughs or other sorts of penalties.
You, as I've mentioned, are a former driver. Not only a former driver, you've won this race twice, and among very few people to have won it in touring cars and GTs. You won it in 2000 in a Peugeot, in 2009 in a Corvette. You've got, therefore, a unique perspective on how this race has changed over the past 20-something years. What would you say the development has been during the past 25 years?
Well, it's always been a nice race to participate in for any driver, I would say. But I think it's become truly interesting for the spectators more than ever before since the GT3 era has arrived, really. I think it's got a lot more to offer now to spectators than it had 10 or 20 or 30 years ago. Even if, like I said, as a racing driver, it's always been just as interesting and just as difficult to win it, because a lot of elements need to unite. But today, the level of GT3 with the number of pro cars you have there is just phenomenal. It's just so competitive that it becomes incredibly hard to win. Probably one of the hardest races in the world to win, I would say.
You're one of a number of former drivers, former Spa winners in the senior management at Team WRT. There's Vincent Vos, Thierry Tassin, Puy Ardennes. Tell me, I guess you think that's a positive thing. You think that's bringing a lot to the program?
Yes, for sure. Not so much the winning, but being an ex-driver, I think, brings a lot to especially bronze lineups. It's a big help. People like Valentino, I think it's a big help to them that they have these ex-drivers who've gone through these motions and have gone through all of this before. For sure, that helps. Now times have changed. I can't compare to my former cars what they are doing now, nor can Vincent, nor can Pierre. But it is still a big help, I would say, to our drivers to just put them at ease. We've done this before. This is what we expect from you. This is how we would handle this, that, or the other. That's a big help to people who are relatively novice to this. When I look at my bronze or our bronze drivers and people like Valentino Rossi.
Yeah. So staying with Valentino, obviously he's quite an interesting case because he's an enormously successful motorcycle rider, but he's transitioned into a very different discipline. How have you helped him with that? And to what extent was he able to bring the motorcycle experience over to GT3, or did he have to somewhat start again?
For the driving, he had to start again, for sure. Now, he did F1 testing. He did race GTs before, so it's not like it's entirely new to him. But for sure, the racing and the driving is totally different. Where you do see where he comes from and that there is a pedigree and that there is extreme talent is when he comes under pressure, for example. That hardly touches him at all because he's used to a lot more. So we had a race in Misano last week where he came under pressure from his own teammate. For him, that's hardly pressure because he's used to much more than that. So in that respect, it's been very easy to work with him. But the driving, for sure, he's had to progress there.
This year, he's sharing with Maxime Martin and Raffaele Marcello, two of the best racing drivers in the world, let alone GT drivers. What are their prospects for this year's CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa?
They can win it, no doubt. I mean, last year we were on the lead lap when there was a final safety car. Was it 5 or 6 hours from the end? When you're in the lead lap, when you're in the top 6 or 7, you can win that race for sure. The disadvantage we had there was we had a bit of damage to the front of the car, which hurt our aero and which hurt our top speed at the end of the straights, and that hurt us too much. And this is where we see it comes down to little details. You can't just have two slight contacts which slightly move your front aero and you can't win it anymore. So it is that difficult to win it.
And we can't fail but mention the sister car, the 32, Dries van Torshalviet, Sheldon van der Linde. I'm sure you think they can win it as well.
They can, yeah. They were leading it quite comfortably last year, I would say. So that was very unfortunate, and we hope to be able to come back from that this year.
I remember speaking to Vincent Vos once, and he said that winning as a team, as the leader of a team, is far more satisfying than winning as a driver. Would you agree with him?
Yeah, I understand what he means. For sure, it's very satisfying to be on top of the podium yourself as a driver, but as a driver, it's much more egocentric, and I would say that you're very much on your own, busy with your own thing, which is the driving, and not so much what's going on behind. Whereas as a team manager or team owner, you get the bigger picture, and you see how many people are involved in this and how many people are working so hard to achieve this result. And that's why I would say, and I guess that's where Vincent comes from, that it is effectively more satisfying to win it as a team manager or owner, yes.
Well, all the best of luck for doing that again this year. Thank you very much, Kurt Mollikens, for joining us. And we can welcome back now Thomas Bastin. Welcome back, Thomas.
Thank you.
Anything catch your attention during those conversations?
Yeah, the passion for the Spa 24 hours and how difficult it is to win it.
Yeah.
And when you hear the interview with Kurt just a few minutes ago, and like he says, it's just small details that can make you a winner or not a winner in Spa. So yes, but that's what makes this race so exciting. As you said at the beginning, I'm the French commentator of this race. I used to be the track commentator at the beginning and now the TV commentator or YouTube channel. Maybe it's good to remind people that we will have 6 languages this year.
6? So what are they in total?
German, English, obviously, German, Italian, French, obviously. But we will have Dutch as well, because you know that in Belgium we speak German or Dutch or French.
Yeah, of course.
And I think we will even have a Japanese version, which is absolutely great. But yeah, when you are commentating such a race, you know it will be an exciting race. You know you will have plenty of story to tell. And you know, really that something special is occurring when you are commentating such a race, so it's really exciting.
Interesting to hear Kurt say that he really feels Valentino Rossi and the number 46 crew can win overall this year. That would have such an impact if Valentino were able to achieve that. And we've seen what he's done in sprint with Maxime Martin. He really is getting to that level where he can compete at the front of this race.
Yeah, he's closer and closer, for sure. I think he has the pace at sometimes we have to remind people that it's only his 3rd full season in GT racing. He's 45 years old. He's for sure the over 40 fastest driver, I think, so far.
I think that's true.
Which is great as well. He can win. I don't think he will be the fastest on the lap, but I really think he can do the job. And he has for sure 2 wonderful teammates, 2 former winners. Maxime won in 2016. Raffaele Marcello was 3 times on Super Pole in a row and won in 2022. So yes, indeed, 46 could win. Maybe it's not the top favorite, but it's among the favorites for sure.
We're almost out of time, and I'm not going to push you to pick a winner because I know that's impossible at this stage. Tell me, is there one thing above all that you're excited about for this year's race or this year's event, let's say, the overall thing? Is there one thing that stands out to you?
That's a difficult question. I would say the fact that it's the Centenary edition. I mean, you realize we had the French, the Pit Café in French a few minutes ago, and we had the story with a book has been written about the 100 years of Spa 24 Hours, and then you realize how different motorsport used to be. In 1924, it was on gravel road. The track was 15 kilometers long. You had nothing, no guardrail. The spectators were almost on the track. You had almost queue on the track because you were going through the farm. And, that makes you think about motorsport has changed so much. Spa 24 Hours of Spa could have disappeared. So first of all, we have to remind that it was a kind of a revenge after Le Mans. So it was the same regulation and things like that, but it didn't have the same success. And then in the 50s, we had only one edition in 1953, and it was a disaster, a financial disaster. And even for the fans, there were not so many spectators. And we thought the race has died. And then suddenly it was Paul Frère, who is a famous driver, a former Le Mans winner, but who was a journalist as well, who came to see the Belgian Federation and say, hey guys, we must do something. We must do something. We must have our own 24 hours race in Belgium, but we must be different from Le Mans. And that's how they decided to go from 1964 with the touring car era, which is great. We had a Mercedes winning then, and then we had Jackie X winning with a BMW, a small BMW. And then from that year, from 1964, Spa 24 became unique, really. And then the touring car where, the enthusiasm for the touring car dropped a little bit. And then from 2001,
that's right. Yeah.
From 2001, there was the switch from touring car to GT car. Stefan Rattels often says that GT racing was missing a big race and a famous race. And I think this famous race, Spa, was missing the correct category at the time because touring cars were dead. Oh, not dead, but not in a good shape. And that's really a wedding that gave us today one of the most beautiful races in the world. I really believe it.
Absolutely, and one of the most competitive. So
sure.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Thank you to all of our guests, to Sandy Mitchell and Ricky Collard, to Kurt Mollikens. Thank you for joining us on tonight's edition of Pit Cafe. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, with another day of news, features and interviews from the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa Prologue.
Edition of the race.